I don't know how I ended up in a place like this. I don't know how long I've been here. The walls were always blue, but not a living blue. Not like the sky or the ocean or anything that ever moved on its own. This blue was flat, muted, deliberate, chosen by people who believed color could correct behavior, that tone alone could slow your pulse and sand down the sharp edges of thought. They told us it was calming. Eventually, most of us stopped arguing. Time thinned inside these walls. Days smeared together into routines measured by pills and paper cups, by the constant hum of fluorescent lights that never fully shut off. The chairs were bolted to the floor. There were no windows. Nothing meant to let the outside in. The clock had no second hand, only hours and minutes, drifting forward like they weren't committed to arriving anywhere. But things didn't always feel this empty. There was a woman everyone noticed, not because she was quiet or careful, but because she wasn't. She laughed, constantly, loud and contained laughter that felt out of place against the blue. She smiled at strangers, sang to herself while walking the halls, danced in little circles when she thought no one was watching. Being near her made the place feel thinner, like the walls didn't press in as hard, like happiness was still allowed, even in a place like this. For a while, she made it easier to believe we could be okay. Then the screaming started. Every night, from her cell. Not sudden screams, long ones, crying that went on past the point of exhaustion, past the point where anyone should still have a voice left. The staff visited her room more than anyone else's, too often, too late at night. They stayed longer than necessary. We didn't see what happened. We didn't need to. The whispers spread anyway, quiet, careful ones, that each of them took their turn with her. Her laughter faded slowly after that, not all at once. It broke into pieces. A smile that didn't reach her eyes, a laugh that stopped too soon, then silence. Months passed. Her body changed. The realization settled over the ward without anyone saying it out loud. She was pregnant. Something in her seemed to come back after that. Her laughter returned, soft at first, then fuller. She sang again, danced again, touched her stomach as if it were anchored to something real. Watching her move through the halls like that felt dangerous, like hope reintroduced too carelessly. But for the first time in a long while, the blue didn't feel absolute. 9 months had passed. The screaming returned, worse than before, sharper, desperate, final. It went on for hours. Those screams still echo in the empty corridors even to this day. After that night, we never heard her voice again. No laughter, no crying, nothing. As for the baby, no one knows. No questions were asked. She walks the halls now, aimlessly, expressionless, all day. She carries something in her hand, small, wrapped tight, held carefully against her chest. Whatever it is, she never lets it go. Sometimes her arms rock gently, like they remember what they're supposed to be holding. The staff don't correct her, they let her keep it, which somehow makes it worse. That's how things ended here, not with answers, but with absence. Because people disappeared here, quietly. There was a man in the East Wing. They said he had trouble controlling his anger. One afternoon, another patient took an apple from his tray. We heard it through the door, the shouting first, rage colliding with panic, guttural screaming broken down into choking pleas that didn't sound human anymore. Something was being smashed into the cold, hard floor, over and over, The loud banging echoed through the corridors, slowly losing their weight until they sounded wet and hollow, like someone jumping into a puddle that was already too shallow. It went on long enough for the screams to silence, long enough for us to realize the staff were allowing it to happen. No one came, no one even raised their voice. Afterwards, the hallway was closed for cleaning. As for the angry man, he was never seen again. Neither of them were. Someone whispered he'd been given an injection to help him sleep. No one asked what kind. Asking questions changed how long you stayed. And that's when I met her. She was already sitting beside me one day. Knees tucked close, hands folded neatly in her lap, her posture practiced, like she'd learned how to look safe. Her eyes were the same faded blue as the walls, tired, washed out, but warmer than anything else in that room. She told me her name once. I forgot it immediately, because names didn't last here. Neither did certainty. We spoke quietly at first, about what the place did to people, about an outside we weren't sure still existed. Sometimes our conversations drifted too close to things we were never meant to touch. Memories were dangerous. At least, that's what she said. Instead, we traded impressions of the place. The feeling of being watched without seeing eyes. The sense that something important had already happened, that we had arrived too late to change it. We began sitting closer, without acknowledging it. Shoulders brushing, knees touching. Her fingers straightened my sleeve, brushing invisible lint from my shoulder, lingering just long enough to feel intentional. At night, when the doors locked and the ward went quiet, we leaned towards each other and whispered. She told me that the pills made her feel empty, like pieces of her were being sanded down one dose at a time. Mine made me feel heavy, like my thoughts were soaked through. One night, she slid her paper cups across the table, told me to try hers. I gave her mine in return. We swallowed and waited. Nothing dramatic happened, just difference. Her pills made my thoughts feel distant, like I was watching myself from behind glass. Mine made her hands tremble, but she smiled anyway. Said, "Now we know." After that, we switched whenever we could, to understand each other, to feel closer. Whenever we talked about the past, we did it in shadows. A room that smelled too sterile, a night that ended in silence. Whenever I asked too much, she touched my wrist, whispered that they didn't like that here. I eventually learned to stop digging. At night, we planned our escape. Not with maps or times. Details were dangerous. Instead, we described what freedom might feel like. Air that didn't belong to anyone else. Silence that wasn't enforced. She said there was a door that wasn't watched. I said I trusted her. I always trusted her. When the blue began to fade, when the walls felt thinner, when staff stopped correcting us for walking too slowly, I took it as a sign. The night we escaped, no alarms sounded. The hallway stretched longer than it ever had before. Lights dimmed behind us, like the building was losing interest. Her hands were cold in mine. She whispered not to let go. I promised I wouldn't. When we got to the final door, we pushed it open together. Darkness rushed in. No blue, no walls. We filled our lungs with the cold night air and ran forward without looking back. I remember thinking I was finally free. But something was wrong. The running never reached anything. It dragged on until effort lost meaning. The darkness stayed close, heavy, relentless, pressing in from all directions. The cold I thought was the night breeze didn't move. It clung to me, scraping heat away slowly, deliberately. Then I felt the steel beneath my back, the table drawing warmth from me inch by inch. I wasn't running. I wasn't leaning forward. I was strapped down, held still, my chest refusing to rise. My arms wouldn't lift, and my legs burned where they were pinned. I tried to twist free. Pain snapped shut around my wrists and ankles, leather biting hard, tightening in answer to every struggle. The rhythm I thought were footsteps became restraints, responding to resistance, and then the truth finally finished assembling itself in the dark. I wasn't outside. I never escaped. I was exactly where I'd always been. Several men in lab coats stood by me, with their attention fixed, as if watching an experiment unfold. Calm, detached, one read from the clipboard. Reality avoidance persisted. Delusions around female construct unchanged. Delusions? She's real, I screamed, trying to convince both them and myself. Oh, we know, one of them said. At least, she was. He proceeded to show me a photograph. It was her. The same blue eyes, the same smile. She was found in your apartment, he said, in several pieces. You still don't remember, do you? That is the mercy of your condition. Since that night, you keep rebuilding her, not as she was, but as you need her to be. Rehabilitation has failed, another man said from the shadows, colder, impatient. Proceed with lobotomy. I shook my head violently, even though I knew it wouldn't matter. Forgiveness is hard, isn't it? One of them murmured, softly enough to feel kind. That's why we're still here, since you can't seem to do it on your own. You poor thing. By the time we're finished here, there will be nothing left to forgive. As they spoke, her hand slipped into mine. Cold, familiar. She whispered not to let go. I promised I wouldn't. The straps tightened. Sharp metal glinted just above my vision. The room dimmed. My thoughts began to slip away. And as my mind finally started to come apart, a single memory resurfaced, clear enough to know one thing. I deserved what came next.